You're watching East Midlands Today, and next tonight, imagine if someone invented a magic material that could soak up thousands of tonnes of carbon dioxide and help tackle climate change. Well, in Nottingham, it's begun to happen thanks to a chemical manufacturing company, which has found a way to produce tiny super absorbent particles far cheaper than ever before. Our environment correspondent Sally Bowman explains.
Sometimes you report on a story that's really fascinating but pretty tough to properly explain.
I think this is going to be one of those stories.
So here goes. Inside these industrial units, a University of Nottingham spin-off is creating billions of tiny particles called metal organic frameworks, or MOFs for short.
Now, us journalists like a good comparison, so I was thinking of comparing these to tiny sponges that can soak up huge amounts of carbon dioxide or water, or tiny sieves that can separate out different gases. But actually, they're more like tiny sticky Lego bricks, you know, like after a 2-year-old's played with them. And if Lego bricks were crystal shaped and very clever.
Any clearer? Well, let's see how the experts do.
So MOFs can both store and separate gases, which make them an incredible material.
Or they're a class of compounds that are essentially made up of a metal centre with an organic linker to create a 3-dimensional framework that are highly porous, so have a lot of internal surface area.
Apparently, the surface area of a teaspoon of MOFs is the equivalent of 2 tennis courts. But here's the really interesting part. All that hidden space can trap greenhouse gases from places like cement works and power stations. James Stevenson shows me what happens when carbon dioxide heavy air is pushed through their demo rig.
I'm going to switch some valves over now, flow the gas through the MOF, and you'll start to see that number fall. And you can immediately start to see that the MOF is adsorbing that CO2 and that percentage is coming right down. And that's exactly what we would do in an industrial scale system.
An industrial scale system like Drax wood-burning power station, where they're already testing it out. Using MOFs promises to make that long-promised carbon capture far more energy efficient. But aren't these clever particles very expensive?
We've had people come to us say that they were quoted up to $60,000 a kilo for these materials, so obviously a US customer, whereas our long-term target is to get these materials down to around £25 a kilo, and that's as a selling price, not a cost.
Yeah, MOFs are fascinating materials. They've been described in scientific literature for the last 30 years or so, but most researchers can only make them at the very small scale. And that's what we're changing here at Promethean. So with our manufacturing technology, we can scale up the way that MOFs are made into those commercially viable quantities.
Promethean Particles have just won £8 million in private investment. The next stage, more scientists, more space and more chances to show what they can do. Sally Bowman, BBC East Midlands Today, Nottingham.